You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The only realistic scenario I see that you have a chance to get two bids in to this deal, which I've maintained all along, you're going to be a one bid league. I just think that there's just too much working against you and out of your control. And it's frustrating, but I get projections and I get rankings and I get all the talk and the hope that you want. The best chance that you are is going to involve the team that we cover, because I think that's the one scenario where it is very realistic. Although I don't want to.
Yeah.
You're going to spend a really nervous Saturday night and early Sunday morning if it comes to that. I will tell you that. And I would just so happen to pass on that, anxiety.
Because two losses for BYU to the same team, you think would just
they would be out. Yeah. The only way is comfortable wins by BYU this week and Texas Tech this week. So you get the rematch, and then the only way I see it is if you have a very close and competitive loss if you're Texas Tech, and I think that would really put you in a spot where you may not be in a host scenario anymore, but I still think you would find your way in. But some of that's going to be about what else happens. And again, as we're sitting here talking, you're just trying to get to Arlington first before, but that's the way this is looking.
Yeah.
So what you're going to have though is you're going to have everybody rooting against you this weekend. You're going to have everybody rooting against you in Arlington as well if you were to make it, and because everybody wants your spot, and everybody wants the chaos, if you will, and that allows for more SEC or the independent known as Notre Dame or the ACC to get multiple bids in or whatever it is, and you just need to keep your head down and keep getting results, and against a team that you're favored over by 3 touchdowns. And potentially against a team that you beat by, 22 points about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, and by the way, here's your reminder. You should be rooting for us. We're America's team, after all. We're out there fighting for you. Oh, your name's not Astor, DuPont, or Rockefeller. We're your team.
Yep.
Maybe not the reminder, maybe the first time you've heard it. So welcome to the wagon. Chris, as far as the team that's standing in the way of all this coming possible first, and that being West Virginia. Forget the scoreboard watching. Let's talk scoreboard that's actually going to be in the stadium that Tech's in. What are we making of the Mountaineers to wrap up this regular season, which has not been anything they wanted it to be? You made a great point last week of like, hey, this is it for them no matter what. So what an opportunity to build up and knock off a team that's got some things going on. Couple of wins, and somehow you get one of those against Houston on the road, which was startling. Colorado, we know what they are, and then you make it tough. I guess last time around on Arizona State. So you think they're figuring something out? Let down from the other guys? What are you making of Rich Rod's crew?
I think they're playing hard. I think this is a head coach that is very passionate about where he's at right now. He's gotten a second opportunity there, and I think that he's what scares you the most. I just don't know if they have enough to pull this off. But here's kind of the West Virginia team you're looking at here. They've got what are they, 4-7? Is that right?
Yep.
And 2 of those wins are against Pitt and Houston, that are 8-win teams right now going into the last weekend. So, like, good teams. Teams are going to go to bowl games, and teams that have made things interesting. I mean, because Houston was able to beat Arizona State. Pitt was able to beat like a 9-1 Georgia Tech team this past weekend. Well, they, Rich Rod and his guys kind of figured it out. They are basically on their 3rd or 4th string quarterback, and Scotty Fox. I think he's a good story. I think he's kind of given them some life. They are on their, they lost Jaheim White, who was one of the top backs in the country, and some preseason accolades and this and that. He got hurt in the 1st or 2nd week of the season. So they've kind of had to reinvent themselves. We're talking like 81 new additions to their roster in total. And the part that would make me nervous if I was West Virginia is they had to replace their top 8 offensive linemen from a year ago. So this whole group up front is just brand new. They are a tempo-based outfit. I think they beat Houston running the football. They almost beat Arizona State throwing the football, so they can do a few different things. But if you're dealing with a motivated Texas Tech team, which, as we've laid out, boy, you sure should be. I mean, like it's every goal that you have is right there in front of you that you've still got to go accomplish. You run the ball, stop the run, and make this young kid try to. But that's, they're playing hard, and they're going to take some chances. It's going to be senior day, and it's going to be cold. Okay, that's the other thing. I do think you catch a break with the 11 a.m. kick. That will be the semi-warmest part of the day and everything like that. I guess this the early part and in the sun, under the sun and all that, if the sun is shining. But this will be, you'll be dealing with something, whether it's cold or wind or some sort of precipitation, whatever it may be. And, you've got this quarterback of yours that, yes, he's coming off a week of rest. You just don't want to fiddle with this deal as you've got different goals laying ahead of you. So Cam Dickey, Jacoby Williams, your offensive line, your tight ends, go have a day, gentlemen. Go have a day.
Something that stood out to me about the game against Houston, had a chance to watch that one, and sort of about the team overall. That day they were heavily impacted by the turnover margin. I think West Virginia was 40 takeaways to turnovers that day. And maybe surprisingly related to their record, they're in plus territory as a team. I mean, it's barely, but still, so you go out there and, like you said, fiddle around and give it away or do something like that, then look out. You could be in trouble. First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. And football is in full force, and FanDuel's keeping you stocked with action every game day with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet only $5, and if your bet hits, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Any way you like it, FanDuel has you covered. Quick, easy, and secure every time. If you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
Yeah, this is one of these games that, like you don't want to be muffing a punt. You don't want to take a chance on trying to force a ball in there, all that kind of stuff. You probably don't need to take too many chances on special teams. Keep in mind, they will.
Yeah,
they have nothing to lose. And hey, man, let's go have some fun. Let's put in this trick play for Billy over here. Let's go put it. Let's let my man Simon get a little work in this deal. I mean, they can. You just want to go play a good sound game, and with the elements, it can kind of make it a bit tricky on you because this will be the coldest game you've played in all year. Yeah, because I've seen anything from the highs like around 37 to 41 as we are talking now for Saturday in Morgantown. But I do think, though, that kickoff time benefits you greatly because it impacts potential crowd noise and juice in the stadium and all those things because a night game and you just don't know. But then the other thing is I don't know what the energy level will be like. Maybe they show up in full because it's their last chance to show up and support their man Rich Rod and all the things, but I just think that is personally, I was thrilled to see this. I mean,
as well,
selfishly, and there you go. But I do think there's probably a slight benefit to you getting this kickoff time as well. So we'll kind of see what we get. But you're right, man. The turnovers. But I just wonder. And we'll hear what Joey and the staff thinks about this deal. But, like, you really want to force this freshman quarterback to have to beat you repeatedly. And if you come out and you do what you did to UCF and you start fast, and then they've got to start throwing it and you can do your pass rush thing, it's kind of the recipe. So play from ahead and all those things. But, yeah, I think there may not be – in any more important aspect for this particular game than your run game and your ability to stop the run. And you've been pretty good with both categories, especially so stopping the run most of the season.
Yeah, I'm happy for more breakfast football on the road. Not mad at another 11 a.m.er. I don't want these West Virginians having all day to get lathered up, whether they're any good or not. I think they'll take the opportunity to have a football party. And by God, this is the Duchendorf Cup after all. It's the battle for John Denver's soul. You know they're going to be worked up over this one. So I was not displeased to hear that kickoff time. Hopefully Tech can take advantage of it and other things presented to them. We'll have plenty more on that matchup as we get through this week and get ready for a regular season finale that, yeah, after all this, somehow still the entire season hangs in the balance, essentially, as
I know
the final weekend. Even after the highs that you've had, you've achieved nothing you really set out to yet. You just still have a chance.
But Cowan, I would offer this up to you. It's stressful, right? Everybody's ready to plan and do this or don't jinx that and all the stuff. We're all in the same world we're living in right now, and it's kind of like frustrating in some ways because you just can't quite get there just yet. You're gonna have to go, until the very end. But we see this all the time in professional sports. There are these teams that just roll through the regular season and they clinch a playoff spot or the 1 seed or whatever. Then you start resting people, you take the foot off the gas and you have a hard time getting that back. And then they end up facing a team, regardless of sport, that had to grind, and they've been in the playoffs since the end of the regular season with no margin for error, and they get hot and then they get confident and all that. And typically which team wins? We see it all the time in baseball, hoops, football, even all that stuff, like with some of the wild card teams, whatever. So I don't. It has sucked having to go through this because you would have loved to have just known. But I do think there's a benefit to you having to keep your foot on the gas, you having to earn every bit of it. You haven't been able to rest your quarterback that's got a leg injury. You haven't been able to do some things down the stretch. And they won't operate this way. Even if Arizona pulls this game off on Friday night, I don't think they would approach that game any differently on Saturday, just because of the CFP aspect and all the things. I think you will be, that's not a bad thing in a way, as stressful as it's been.
No, don't think it's a bad thing at all. Let's keep the edge. The edge. All right, before we get out of here, Chris, I do want to switch gears and catch up with you on what's been going on most recently with Red Raider Hoop. What?